woman, Barbara Melendez Rapp. Please welcome her.
What an impressive group. Okay, well, I'm going to put this paper covering my face because it's weird to have like my notes and have myself looking at me. So first of all, good morning and thank you. Thank you for choosing to be here with us today. We're honored to have you at BYU Law School. Thank you for Ukli, who puts together this wonderful event, and that it's our year to host. Today's a really unique opportunity. It's really a day dedicated to you, so soak it in, because there are not many days in your life that are just for you. So, you can expand your ego and feel really pampered today, because what the purpose is for you to be able to not only gather information, but to be inspired. You're going to be provided with not only information, but you're also going to be challenged to try to equip yourself with a new sense of purpose as you look at the possibilities of law school and thinking of law school as a career. So let me start by acknowledging that you've already walked into this space, and it's been a tough journey. For most of you, you are finishing up your undergrad degree, or you're somewhere in that process. You have probably faced down your share of challenges, and now in the back of your mind, you're thinking, I'm ready to take on more, so let's go to law school. Well, that's awesome, and I'm very glad, but because I took that challenge as well, and it's important that you step forward with a purpose, and the commitment you're making helps you be an extraordinary lawyer. The journey you're on is going to stretch you, but it will also help you grow in ways that you probably won't even recognize it until you've already been there. So law school and the eventual practice of law is not just mastering legal text and memorizing case law, but it's really about building and being a builder of justice. And it doesn't matter what kind of law you go into, you are becoming an advocate for others, whether it's a company, whether it's a client, whether it's a family, whether it's your own needs. You start to become an advocate. You're creating a foundation of fairness where you can advocate for truth, where you can start to stand up and have dignity and respect for others, and elevate those who don't really have a voice. So every great lawyer is really an inspiring leader. And they all started where you are now, with that one seed that said, maybe I'll go to law school. Now, for some of you, it's like, I'm going to go to law school because I like the way they look on TV. Or, I'm going to go to law school because they're going to get the big bucks, right? Or, I'm going to go to law school because I really don't know where I'm going to go. And whatever led you here, I'm totally cool with that. It's what you become as you go through that process. And it's essential that you start exploring that a bit further. As you look towards law school and beyond, remember that law is more than a career. It's really a privilege. It's a duty. It's an invitation to be an agent of change. And it's a privilege because although you hear all these terrible things about lawyers, right, and there's so many of them, it's actually a very small percentage of the population that are lawyers. It's a privilege because you get to step into one of the few professions where you can shape societies, you can protect rights, you can serve as a voice for many, and you can do meaningful work. And I want you to really kind of take that in and rub it around and really marinate yourself in that, because it's not just a thing. It's much more powerful than that. And so Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor said, I am passionate about the law because it's the most effective way to change society. See, because the law empowers you to make a difference in the courtroom or in the lives of others and organizations and communities. So I want to ask you again, and I actually asked my husband this morning. I'm an empty nester, and I don't have anyone within your age group in my home. I have 2 crazy little dogs and a cat, and that's what we have. And so I was asking my husband, do you think this audience has heard lawyer jokes? So have any of you heard lawyer jokes, right? Okay. Yeah, it's sad. There are many of them, you know. I don't have that gift. There are people who have the gift of remembering a funny story or a lawyer joke and be able to say it and hit the punchline and do all that. That is not me. I forget the punchline, I mix it up, I forget the characters. So anytime we're like in a group or at home and we're like, you know, Mom, please don't say a joke because I mess it up, right? So I'm going to rewind the clock and take you back to me as a very young lawyer in my very first job as a corporate attorney for a company, and I'm sitting in my little office like trying to do my work, but like I don't really want to stand out because like these people are so different from me. There's no one in my family who had graduated college, let alone law school. And like they look different, they say things different, their lunch is a little different than what I bring. I'm like rice and beans, man, like that's what I'm eating up, you know? But it's just a different environment. I also had children when I went to law school. So I'm sitting there and I hear this. And the chief legal counsel, steps in and he sees like my deer in the headlights look like, oh my gosh, what's he going to ask? And he said, hey, Melendez, how many lawyers does it take to screw in a light bulb? And I'm thinking, is that like a legal question? Like, oh my gosh. And you could tell by my look that I'm like, he says, yeah. And he looks at me again. He says, how many lawyers does it take to screw in a light bulb? And without hesitation, he responded and he says, it takes 1 lawyer, Melendez, but they first have to draft a 20-page contract to cover all potential liability. And so I'm like, okay. And he says, so I need you to work on this contract, which I'd never done, for a series of equipment that was going to be purchased to be installed in various facilities for this corporation. I had never looked at a contract other than maybe the lease to my apartment, but even then I just signed it. So I did what every good or aspiring lawyer does. Before the panic set in, I went, okay, I've got to be thorough, I have to look at everything, and I triple checked and I got all these sources and I put together a contract. Well, the results was, after double checking, triple checking, I ended up with a 22-page contract that covered every possible provision and liability exception, including if Martians came in and destroyed, the property or anything. Law requires you to be thorough. It requires you to be decisive. It teaches you patience, grit, and in very strange ways, it teaches you to be humble and humor, because you can only survive these moments sometimes with humors. So today's symposium is designed to give you insights and tools that will help you take one of the many steps required should you choose to apply to law school. BYU Law School. Other law schools, but whichever one you wish to apply. You get to be proactive. You get to be your own advocate. You get to build your own foundation. Remember how far you've come already to face the challenges, and you get to use all those experiences and bring them with grit and grace and kindness and respect to law school. But I don't want you to freak out. I don't want you to think, oh my gosh, she's making me nervous. I'm failing before I even apply. Because the reality is that, and none of these quotes are mine, darn it. There's a great late justice. Her name was Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And she said, real change, enduring change happens one step at a time. And you're taking this one step. So keep at it. Make sure that you take advantage of the sessions. Interact with the speakers and the panelists. I encourage you to build the courage to speak up. Raise your hand if you have a question. The legal profession is one of the few where you can truly create lasting impact. So as you participate, remember why you're here. You're here not just to learn, but you're here to be inspired, to connect, and to dream about ways that you can make a difference. Because every single one of you has stepped into this room with your own stories, with your own background, and those diverse voices and experience, they are desperately needed in the legal field. They are needed to advocate. They are needed to represent unique struggles and stories of the communities that you live in. Your perspective, your experience, and your authenticity. So don't leave law school and become this other weird person. Bring whoever you are and carry that person through and become a builder of justice, protecting dignity, and being a champion for inclusion. So today, whoop-de-doo, good for you. Today marks one more step in this journey to law school and to this wonderful profession. Lean in, listen, ask questions, connect with people. The people in this room, many of them potentially are going to be your colleagues. Connect with them and start shaping and directing your unique journey. It's one more stepping stone to your future and the changes you can make in society. Thank you. Enjoy the symposium, eat lots of snacks, and have a great day. Thank you. I'm going to step downstairs, and I think she'll understand. I'm running a alumni summit downstairs, so I'll be downstairs, and I'll come in, and then I'll come downstairs, and I'll come in. But
we get to see her throughout the day still. Talk to her.